Malaysia has been a strong and consistent supporter of Palestine for many years. This long-standing support has made Malaysia one of the most vocal advocates for Palestinians in Asia and around the world. Malaysia has frequently spoken out at the UN, calling for an end to Israel's occupation of Palestine and pushing for the creation of an independent Palestinian state, with Jerusalem as its capital. The country was one of the first to recognize the Palestinian Liberation Organization, PLO, in the 1970s, and has played a key role in encouraging other countries to recognize Palestine as a sovereign state. Beyond diplomacy, Malaysia has also provided significant humanitarian aid to Palestine. The government and local NGOs have sent food, medical supplies, and financial support to Palestinians suffering in Gaza. Many Malaysian NGOs have worked to provide medical care and education in Palestine, often partnering with global organizations to help improve the lives of the Palestinian people. Economically, Malaysia has supported Palestine through efforts like boycotting Israeli products and raising awareness about the situation in Palestine. The Malaysian government has also imposed sanctions on Israel, calling for countries worldwide to join in these actions in solidarity with Palestinians. For Malaysia, supporting Palestine is not just a political decision, but a key part of its national identity. Leaders, especially former Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad, have consistently framed the support for Palestine as part of a larger fight against injustice. Malaysia sees its advocacy as a moral responsibility. Some critics argue that Malaysia, being a Muslim-majority country, is naturally aligned with Palestine. But it's important to note that many Muslim countries, including those in the Middle East, have pursued normalizing relations with Israel. In fact, very few Muslim nations actively support Palestine in the way one might expect. Malaysia has prepared a draft resolution for the UN General Assembly that proposes Israel to be removed as a member. Anwar Ibrahim announced that this resolution is currently being negotiated and is expected to be presented to the UN soon for approval. On October 31st, 2024, Malaysia joined a group working on the draft resolution, which asked the International Court of Justice for an opinion on whether Israel must allow UN activities in Palestinian territories with the Palestinian government's consent. This would help ensure continued support for the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East, which provides essential services like education, healthcare, and aid to over 6 million Palestinian refugees. Anwar emphasized Malaysia's strong support for the UN Relief and Works Agency. The agency's work in providing aid has been vital for millions of refugees across Gaza, the West Bank, Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria. Malaysia has also been active in funding these efforts, contributing 25 million ringgit to the agency and continuing discussions to meet the agency's urgent needs. The Prime Minister also condemned Israel's actions in Gaza, where the violence has caused thousands of Palestinian deaths and injuries. He called for stronger international accountability and stressed that Malaysia would keep supporting Palestine through humanitarian efforts. Malaysia has also provided more than 100 million ringgit in aid and continues to send patients for treatment, especially from Gaza, with the help of Egypt, Qatar, and the UAE. Anwar is also scheduled to meet Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. It's a courageous move, considering that Malaysia is the only country in Asia willing to stand up to Israel without fear of repercussions. Remember, the US supports Israel, so any nation that opposes Israel could face serious consequences, such as sanctions. But such a resolution would face major obstacles, especially in the UN Security Council, where the US holds veto power. and has consistently protected Israel. If successful, the expulsion would further isolate Israel globally, but is likely to exacerbate tensions with Western powers and may impact Malaysia's relations with the US and other allies. But like I mentioned before, that Malaysia is economically independent. It doesn't rely on the West to sustain its economy, and it's a member of BRICS. In the coming weeks, Malaysia is likely to receive increased attention from Western mainstream media, with various false claims about human rights violations and so on. Will the Muslim world follow Malaysia's example?